Deep thinkers can love hard and still leave. Once their mind turns cold, it stays cold. And the scary part is, you may never see it coming. This is the side nobody warns you about. Not evil, just quiet patterns that twist love. If you overthink everything, some of this will hit home. Deep thinkers rarely take words at face value. They watch tone, pauses, eyes, and what goes unsaid. That makes them feel safe, but never fully relaxed. You say, "I'm fine," and they hear the crack. They study people before they trust them. But here's the truth. That gift can become a trap. When you read too deeply, you can invent danger. A late reply feels like distance, not just delay. Your brain starts building stories with no proof, and your body reacts like the loss is already real. That is why deep thinkers look calm outside. Pay attention to this. Inside, they are preparing for pain. They often expect disappointment before love feels secure. Hope feels beautiful, but risk feels louder. So they test small moments without telling you. Will you notice their mood? Will you stay consistent? Even tiny changes become clues in their mind. This is where it gets interesting. They call it intuition. Sometimes it is wisdom. Sometimes it is fear. The hard part is telling them apart. One warm message can calm them for hours. One cold message can shake them all night. That is the first dark pattern. Love becomes investigation. But here's the truth. Silence is often their test. They stop reaching out and watch what you do. Not always to manipulate, but to measure care. If you chase, they feel wanted. If you vanish, their worst fear gets confirmed. So they learn through absence, not direct questions. Pay attention to this. They fear looking needy. Asking plainly feels too exposed for them, so they hide the question inside distance. They act normal, but they are watching everything. How fast you reply, how warm you sound. Even your punctuation can start to matter. This is where it gets dangerous. Silence creates confusion. You think they need space, so you back off. They think you do not care, so they shut down. Neither person speaks, but both feel rejected. A relationship can break without a real fight, and nobody outside understands why. But here's the truth. Deep thinkers hate unclear love. Mixed signals hit them harder than harsh truth. They can handle pain better than uncertainty. Tell them the truth, and they can breathe. Hide the truth, and their mind becomes a storm. Deep thinkers can also detach with shocking speed. Pay attention to this. The breakup starts before the goodbye. Once patterns repeat, they stop hoping out loud. They still smile, but the door is closing. The mind that once chased meaning starts saving energy. That is when their warmth turns strangely polite. You feel the distance, but cannot explain it. This is where it gets interesting. Detachment is self-defense. They do not want to beg for basic effort, so they cut emotion before emotion cuts them. It looks cold, but it usually began as hurt. 1,000 small disappointments built that wall, and each one was carefully remembered. But here's the truth. They replay everything before leaving. They do not quit on impulse. They quit after giving too many silent chances. one forgotten promise, one careless joke, one broken boundary. To others, it looks sudden. To them, it feels overdue. Pay attention to this. Once they feel foolish, they harden. Nothing burns them like feeling blind. So they leave fast to protect their dignity. That is why their exit can feel brutally final. Deep thinkers often read pain before people confess it. They notice the fake smile and heavy pause. But here's the truth. Empathy can become power. When you understand wounds, you know where people bend. Most deep thinkers use that gently, but hurt ones may use it defensively. They can say one sentence that hits your deepest insecurity, because they already mapped the place you hide. This is where it gets dangerous. Insight can turn surgical. They know when praise will soften you. They know when distance will pull you closer. They know when silence will make you chase. That does not always mean evil intent. Sometimes it means they learned love through instability. Pay attention to this. Wounded minds copy old survival tools. If they felt controlled, they may control back. If they felt ignored, they may withdraw first. If they felt unsafe, they may test loyalty non-stop. The dark pattern repeats until someone names it. Awareness is the first crack in that cycle. But here's the truth. Deep insight needs deep discipline. Without discipline, intelligence can become emotional manipulation, and manipulation always poisons real closeness. Another dark trait is how hard deep thinkers are on themselves. They do not just feel pain, they analyze it to death. This is where it gets interesting. The mind becomes its own critic. After one awkward moment, they replay 10 versions. After one rejection, they question their whole worth. They search for the exact second things changed, as if the right answer could undo the hurt. But pain rarely works like a math problem. Pay attention to this. Overthinking can look like control. Really, it is fear wearing a smart disguise. If they can explain the pain, they feel safer. If they can predict it, maybe it will not return. So they stay awake, reviewing old conversations, and every replay drains more life from the moment. But here's the truth. Insight is not the same as healing. You can understand your wound and still feed it. You can see the pattern and still repeat it. That is why some deep thinkers stay stuck for years. They keep thinking about change instead of practicing it. Knowledge comforts them, but action scares them. This is where it gets painful. They often blame themselves first. Even when someone else was careless, they internalize it. And that makes toxic love feel weirdly personal. Deep thinkers want soul-level love, but fear full exposure. They crave being seen, then panic when seen too closely. That push-pull can confuse anyone who loves them. One day they open wide, the next day they disappear. But here's the truth. Vulnerability feels like standing unarmed. They want connection without losing control. They want honesty without risking humiliation. They want depth but not the shame of need. So they reveal themselves in careful pieces, and they watch whether you handle each piece gently. Pay attention to this. Trust grows slowly for analytical hearts. One betrayal can erase months of progress. One mocking comment can shut a door. One safe response can keep that door open. That is why your tone matters more than you think. Softness feels serious to someone always bracing. This is where it gets interesting. Their darkness can transform. A deep thinker who feels safe becomes deeply loyal. They stop testing and start speaking clearly. They stop predicting pain and start building peace. They use their insight to protect love, not control it. That is the version of them worth fighting for. But here's the truth. Safety must be mutual. They cannot heal by reading minds forever. At some point, they must say what hurts. Maybe that is the real dark psychology of deep thinkers. Their sharpest weapon is also their deepest wound. When the mind never rests, the heart pays interest. If this felt personal, share it with someone who needs it. And subscribe for more honest psychology told simply.